As Coach will start with a couple of comments and take your questions.
Yeah, normal bye week stuff. Working on fundamental things and a lot of developmental guys, and just continue to put in some WSU stuff. So at a good place, they'll get another really good workout tomorrow while we're on the road a little bit.
How is it? Coach said maybe the theme of this week is more healing from injury. How has that been on the offensive end, which has had the most?
Yeah, I think
injuries?
we've got a shot with a receiver, possibly, almost definitely a center, and Mike, and then a receiver, maybe two receivers. We'll see, and just even some of the health of the other receivers, like a guy like Monroe. Every day getting back into it more. So I think we should see a healthier group at the receiver position, and one more O lineman. And guys like Val and guys like Jake, even whoever have played a lot of snaps,
just a bunch of
they
bumps and
heal.
nicks
Yep,
and
they
everything.
heal a little bit of their body that way up front.
Fell back. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is. No question.
What does
No
he?
question.
What does he really bring to the offensive line that maybe you guys haven't had for the past couple of weeks?
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think they all bring great things to the offensive line, but he brings another piece. He's a very good football player, and a very smart football player. He brings energy. He understands the position. He can pull. He can get downfield. He can do a lot of different things. Not that he pulls a lot from the center position, but he can move. He can get out. In the screen game. I mean, he plays physical, so he brings a lot to the table.
How would you assess Barash's performance against Utah?
It was tough to evaluate in some ways, just because it was so quick. I mean, I'm not saying that the numbers don't reflect necessarily, what he did, because it was a tough environment, tough situation to be in, tough with some of the pressures. Yeah, just certain things that were tough on him, similar to at times, what Modster dealt with Oregon. Those two are kind of in the, and Utah might have been even, a notch, not taking anything away from Oregon. I thought they had a great defense too, and it's shown up all year. But Utah was probably to another level that way. So it's a tough, kind of first start as a freshman to evaluate, especially when we have, just certain injuries at certain places. Because when a freshman's playing at quarterback, it's nice when you're kind of full strength around him to help, pick that up. And it's, it's a little bit more of a challenge for that piece on the road. So it had its good moments, it had its bad moments, and there were definitely a lot of stuff we can correct.
Who will be your quarterback against Washington State?
We'll see.
If Monster is healthy, it's still we'll see.
We'll see.
He did put a handful of things I noticed in against Utah to help Spencer with some of those rollouts and stuff. How much of that was put in that week, or was that part of your package beforehand?
It's always been part of the package, but we wanted to move the pocket a little bit more against those guys and against their front and against what, just to take some relief off, both the QB and, your offensive line in protection. The downside to that, sometimes rolling the pocket and moving the pocket, you start condensing the field into a half or 2/3 of a field. So that's when sometimes it seems good in theory, get out on the run, but then there's that split, that flip side where all of a sudden if they're zoning it, now you can't use all 53 yards of the width of the field, and that can be tough on a quarterback too. And a couple of those rollouts, that's exactly what happened.
Given the caliber of the competition, how would you assess the offensive performance?
It wasn't what it needs to be. There were MAs, we know that. We knew it would be tough. We knew it'd probably be a grinded out. I mean, you saw, they shut out Oregon State until I think the last drive. They held Arizona State to, I think, 3, and they had some short fields even in that game. So they've done that quite consistently throughout the years. But at the same time, you knew it would be a grimy, grinded out type of game. You just have to find a way to, again, just get a couple more plays downfield, get a couple more shot plays, whatever that might be that creates that situation where you can be similar to like you were in the Oregon game where you're still in it in the fourth quarter.
Is there anyone in particular that you were looking for to stand out during this week of development on the offensive side?
No, I wouldn't say anyone standing out as much as just everyone continuing to progress. That would be the biggest thing. Obviously, DC, is someone, at the tailback position that can, potentially continue to add to that rotation. And you saw that late in the game. And even though it was against, some of their backups, he still was able to break a long run and show some things. So that would be probably the one guy that jumps out that maybe hasn't taken a lot of snaps, in games yet this year, but, has the potential to be, more involved in these last 4.
What has he shown improvement in specifically? Anything in particular?
He just does a really good job of putting his foot in the ground and getting vertical. He just puts his foot in the ground, gets vertical, can break tackles. So, and he's fought some injuries early on in it, so he's still kind of, getting himself to that spot. But we saw some things in fall camp before some, just some of the nagging things hit, and now you're seeing some things again that allow him to potentially be in that mix.
What did Ben Skinner show you going into the Utah game and even during it?
I appreciate how hard Ben worked, because that's even a new position for him, playing the slot a little bit more. And I just appreciate how hard he worked all week, and really 4 weeks, but all week, just understanding, what they were going to do, and studying extra and meeting extra. I mean, he put in time to go out there, and it showed up. He didn't have mental errors. He didn't have mistakes on the field. He was able to put himself in some good spots, caught a couple balls. So he showed me that he cared about what it took during the week to be ready to play, even in really his first true start at that spot. I know he played a little last year against USC and in other games, but truly playing an entire game.
Is he typically more of an outside guy?
He was last year. He's been playing more inside this year. So that's, he's taken it upon to understand that, the entire system as a whole, which can be tough on younger receivers at times, but they all need to get to that point where they can move to a number of different spots within it.
He played that a little in high school, if I'm not mistaken, in
Yeah.
the slot, didn't he?
Yeah,
But
he's
it's
played
a
it
different
before.
beast at this level.
Yeah, and it's not that he just hadn't been playing it, but it might be a better spot for him as you look, as you start to watch him rep it in that position, and he'll continue to get work there.
That's good.
All right, thanks guys.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Get that plane.